Well, good evening everyone and welcome to the Prestige tier here for season 14 in One Hub Racing, proudly sponsored of course by Next Level Racing. Do make sure you check out their website, loads of cool stuff on there for the aspiring sim racer in mind. My name is Alex Lilliard, back after a couple of weeks away due to having work during Canada week, which is why I wasn't here. Then obviously we had the mid-season break as well. Honestly feels like I've been away for absolute months, so it's nice to finally get back here and do some commentary tonight for the top tier in One Hub Racing. Apologies as well if I sound a bit on stream. I'm currently fighting a pretty nasty cold, but I'll certainly try my best to battle my way through it. So it's just a few minutes then before we go to the qualifying session here in Austria. Some new changes have been made as well via sort of the pre-race interviews that we do with the drivers. Some tiers it's proving quite popular, other tiers not so much, including this one. So I think there's been the general consensus through the league and all the commentators as well that we're pretty much going to scrap that idea, maybe get one or two people in here and there, but basically do a sort of pre-race notes, that sort of thing, talk about the circuit, driver changes, standings and all that, which leaves us then to just fully focus of course on qualifying and the race. So obviously then with the mid-season break that we've had a few changes, well just a couple of changes. The main one really to just talk about is Kian, who was really underperforming in the McLaren team. He has lost his seat and therefore left the Prestige tier completely. He's been replaced by Wummer, as you can see there, he's in the McLaren. We also have a new driver in the Toro Rosso team, Flynn Finisher. He wasn't here in Canada, I believe, or something like that. He's not here tonight, and he's also, I believe, recently informed the league that he won't be able to race on Fridays at all. So he's immediately joined the league and then looks like unfortunately he's leaving it. Other than that, there's no real other changes to talk about. So all the big guys that we've been seeing fighting out in the first half of this season still remain where they are in the championship, still remain with the teams of their choice. And talking about the standings then, so ILRT Louis in the McLaren still leads the way on 134 points. We have a tie for second place between VSR Onyx and CRG Blizzard. He's had a name change. Second and third place for them for the Williams and Red Bull teams. They're both on 100 points, so 34 points behind Louis. Paris is in fourth place for the second Williams on 75, and VSR Marquez is in the second Red Bull in fifth place on 69, but question marks remain to see if he is going to be racing tonight. I believe he's missed the last few races. Down at the bottom then, two drivers on 0 points, LR Yoga in the Mercedes and Flynn Finisher in a Toro Rosso, who we don't believe will be making an appearance at all. Just ahead of him, Wummer is already off the mark with 2 points he picked up in France, and Brettster as well. I kept on saying in the first few races of the season how he was on minus whatever points because he picked up a 5-point penalty for some silly misdemeanors in the pre-season race all those weeks ago. He has now scored points finally, and he's up to the dizzying heights of 16th place in the championship on 2 points. TGG Thomas, his teammate in the Haas, used to be known as LTU or LUT Tom. He's just had a name change. So yeah, the only new driver really in the Prestige tier now going forward is Wummer in the McLaren. So that is the Drivers' Championship. In the Constructors, the Williams team lead on 175. Aston Martin Red Bull in second place, 169. McLaren in third, 136. But with Louis' new teammate Wummer, hopefully they'll be able to start challenging for the Constructors' Championships now he hopefully has a better teammate. Ferrari in fourth place on 89. Mercedes in fifth on 79. At the bottom, two teams near the bottom, Haas on 11 points in ninth place, and the Scuderia Toro Rosso team in 10th, propping up the standings with just with just 3 points. So we've got 15 drivers so far in the lobby. Hopefully a couple more will join in the next couple of minutes. We're almost all ready to go then to the qualifying session. 18 minutes, of course, in the short qualifying session, followed by a 50% distance race, which I think is 38-39 laps, something like that. Tyre strategies, well, as long as it stays dry in both qualifying and the race, I'll be expecting a majority of the field, if not all of them, to be looking to set their best lap times on the red-walled soft tyres. And then if you're starting inside the top 10, ideally you want to go soft mediums if you can, but it might have to be soft onto the hard tyres due to the additional tyre wear obviously you'll have on those soft tyres starting inside the top 10. Outside the top 10, of course, it will be a free choice. You might see some drivers go mediums, hards or softs, depending on what they want to do, but again, they'll be looking to do the one-stop strategy as well. There might be a few people out there having to do the two-stop strategy if they pick up a bit of damage in the early few laps or just find that their tyre tyres are degrading at a much quicker rate than possible. But around here, you don't really be coming off strategy compared to everyone else around you, because certainly the first part of this lap, with its long straights, heavy braking and DRS zones aplenty, it's quite easy to just have those little nice slipstream DRS trains around this very, very short circuit, and you don't want to be losing the slipstream pack ahead of you by coming off strategy. So these guys are going to be very, very close in qualifying, very, very close in the race as well. Austria is probably my favourite circuit to drive on this game, which probably highlights how good I am at a racer by, you know, saying that the best circuit out there is the one that has just 8 corners. But it is a really fun, challenging experience doing this circuit, and I'm sure all these drivers are looking forward to it tonight as well. We're almost at the halfway point of the season now. Really, a couple more races, we'll be into the second half of it, and already in the Drivers and Constructors Championships you can see who the real heavy hitters are and those that are struggling to find some form and pace. But hopefully tonight some of those drivers can turn their fortunes around, as we can see that some of the drivers are now starting to ready up, and very, very shortly will be taking part in the qualifying session. So here we are then in the first minute of this 18-minute qualifying session. It looks very dark and overcast here around the mountains of Spielberg, so don't be surprised to potentially see a little bit of a weather change in this session. But here we are then. Track length here is just over 4.3 kilometres in length, with over 75% taken at full throttle. There's 3 DRS zones for the first 3 straights, provide lots of overtaking opportunities, and watch out for the 2 quick left-handers in sector 2. One little twitch of oversteer will see the driver skate off into the gravel traps. Watch out for those who are on the traditional pad to race with, as this circuit is one of just a few that offers a clear advantage over those using a wheel. So we've got most of the drivers out on circuit at the moment. It genuinely does look like it's started to rain here. It has. It's actually started to rain. Just on the onboard shot there with BSR Onyx, you can see some of the raindrops just splashing off of that halo. So that's why then a lot of these drivers are already out on circuit, hoping and praying that it stays just dry enough to put in what will essentially be their only opportunity here. The rain might come down a little softer than normal, make the Track conditions stay relatively okay for dry tyres, but I'm going to be a betting man here and say that all of these drivers have got to nail this lap, because I think the grid is going to be set within the next 2 to 3 minutes. So a very exciting start here to the qualifying session. We'll jump on board with VRT Chapelele's Racing Point, as he is the first driver, I believe, on a flying lap. You can see the rain there splashing off the TV screen, bouncing off the halo as well, and these guys have absolutely got to nail this lap if they're going to have any chance of a competitive grid spot here. VSR Onyx is out on the mediums. He might be ruining that as well, because he's going to be slower compared to those on the soft tyres. So here comes Chapelele then into the final 2 corners for what will probably be his only flying lap. Over the line he comes now. He hasn't got any ERS left, so that will be it for him. He takes provisional pole with a 104.494. LR Yoghurt into second place, or 104.556. Here comes VSR Onyx then, one of the championship contenders. He's only good enough for third place with a 105.2, just 1/10 ahead of his teammate Paris in fourth. Blizzard up into third place. We've got Samster also up into third. The rest of the lap times are coming in. Championship leader ILRT Louis on provisional pole with a 104.1. Here comes Matt Tibos in the Alfa Romeo into and out of the final corner. This is going to be the only lap I think these guys are going to be able to get. They might be able to go again if they've got enough fuel in ERS. Matt Tibos then has failed to set a lap time, must have been validated, and we've got a few more drivers yet to come across. LR Nick across the line now, I believe he's just starting. Bretster is coming into the final couple of corners. Where's his teammate in all this? He's still in sector 1, so Bretster then down in P14 in a moment without a lap time. Over the line he comes. His lap time is only good enough for 9th place. So both the Williams guys down in 10th and 11th. And I believe they might have backed off as well. So Matt is on a flying lap. Lewis is on a flying lap, as is Thomas, who's behind Matt. LR Nick is going again as well. The rain is still coming down here, but these guys are still pedaling it to the max in these conditions with those dry tyres. But it's Louis then, the championship leader, on provisional pole with a 104.1. Chapelele and Midnight have done very, very good jobs here. Second and third for both the race points. LR Yoghurt's back in the pits in 4th. Samster in the Renault up into 5th place. Where are all these drivers that have yet to set lap times? How are they getting on in all this? Well, we've got Lewis across the line, 9th place for him. TGG Thomas across the line for Haas. He's up into 5th place, and it's just the 2 Alfa Romeos left to go. I believe Matt is ahead of LR Nick. Matt is failed to set another lap time here. Here comes LR Nick across the line. He's got damage on the front wing as well. Only good enough for P12 for him. So the Alfa Romeos and the Williamses are struggling here then, it looks like, to try and get some early laps in these conditions. But the Racing Points have done a great job, P2 and P3. But it's Louis then that's on provisional pole by nearly 4/10 ahead of Chapelele. And that may very well be the end of this qualifying session 5 minutes after it started. Where's TTG Thomas? Has he backed off? He's a second and a half down in sector 1, so he definitely won't be improving. Lewis has backed off, we know that. LR Nick, I think he's got damage on his front wing possibly. Where's Matt in all this? Because we know that he needs to set a lap time. I think he's got damage on his front. Yeah, both the Alfa Romeos are carrying front wing damage. They've obviously come a cropper somewhere trying to get past other cars on the on these qualifying laps. The rain is coming down just a bit heavier now. I don't think we're going to be seeing many other people out there. Blizzard's out on circuit. Is he on a set of dry tyres? He is. So maybe there's just a glimmer of hope for some of these drivers to go out again as this rain starts to fall. Sparks coming in saying wet race. Unsure. It's a wet qualifying session. Well, it started dry. The rain immediately started to fall, which is why it might be a bit of an upside down grid. Blizzard down in 8th place. The Williams guys of Onyx and Paris 13th and 14th. The reason why they're down there is they came out the pits on the medium tyres. Everyone else was on the softs. Matt Tibos has failed to set a lap time. He had damage on his front wing and he did 2 laps, and I think he's invalidated both of them. So Blizzard then will jump on board with the Red Bull driver. He's been in the pits and back out again for another set of soft tyres. The rain is still coming down, but obviously he feels confident enough. There's still enough grip out there, but the sector 1 time will tell us everything we need to know. That was a very nice through turn 1 as well. Now with a second stab at the DRS, you can still see that they are using DRS here, so that hasn't been deactivated. Up now through the little kink of what is supposed to be turn 2 into Remus curve for turn 3. Very late on the brakes. Nice entrance and exit there as well. What is this sector 1 time? What was it? I missed it unfortunately, but we'll stay with Blizzard as he gives us a nice lap around these difficult conditions here at the Red Bull Ring. Down into turn 3. Just puff of smoke there from the right front as well. Short shifting as well. Car seems fairly stable, and he's still giving it the B's as well with the ERS topped up all the way to number 5. Now through the double left-handers here in Sector 2. Pretty much the only 2 corners in Sector 2 you have to worry about. And now through the little kink of 6. You've got yellow flags in Sector 1 and Sector 2 as well, so someone I think is either being off the circuit or going slowly. Now the final 2 right-handers here to complete what is the shortest lap on the calendar out of the final corner. It seemed like a good lap, to be honest. Can he improve? He has. He's found 2/10 of a second. A 104.554 puts him between Midnight and LI Yogurt, and you can see that the lap times just 1.2 seconds between these guys, so the conditions are still good enough out there for these guys to improve lap times as Yogurt gets his drift on coming through turn 1. So there's a glimmer of hope there for Matt Tibos and both the Williams drivers towards the back of the field to try and improve their lap times. Here comes Paris in all this, and he's nearly just over 4/10 up on his previous best. It'll only be good enough for maybe getting inside the top 10. He's run wide through the final corner, may very well be invalidation. Indeed it was. Paris is going to have to go again, but he won't have enough ERS to really push it to the max. And unfortunately then, Paris really struggling in this session. Onyx is back into the pits, as you can see, being wheeled back into his garage by his mechanics. So time is running out for these guys. The rain is still coming down as Matt Tibos comes across the line to start his next flying lap. We'll have a look and see what everyone else is doing. Louis is marginally up in Sector 1. Midnight is 3.5 tenths down, I think. He's just completed a lap, possibly. Blizzard, we know, is coming back into the pits, having moved up into P4. TGG Thomas, Sector 1. Samster's back out on circuit. Wommer, who is now in the McLaren. His Sector 1 time is 1.5 seconds down, so maybe now the weather has changed just a bit too much, and that will be the end of the session. Spretster comes across the line. He was 2/10 down on his previous best. Wommer and Blizzard have both retired from the session. They feel they can do no better in this session. Maybe now the track conditions are changing just a little bit. And a few other drivers are retiring as well. There's Matt Tibos. We'll keep an eye on Matt. He's the only driver to yet to set a competitive lap time. Into the final couple of corners now. Yellow flags as well in Sector 3. Yep, there's a Toro Rosso facing the wrong way there. It might have been Lewis, who has retired from the session. Here comes Matt then across the line, and he has managed to put in somewhat of a competitive lap time to get himself up to P12 ahead of his teammate. So Onyx out on circuit on an out lap. Again, not too sure if these conditions are now starting to get the better of his driver. It's so difficult to tell. As Onyx just weaving a little bit there from right to left, left to right, trying to generate a little bit of extra heat in the tyres, which will cool down these long straights here at Austria. And out of the final corner then, Onyx then down in 14th place. I don't think Paris will be back out on circuit, to be honest. And Onyx then, Sector 1 will tell us everything we need to know about his conditions, but he's just extended a little bit there on the exit and very well may have picked up a invalidation for that. Indeed he has, because he's knocked the ERS down all the way to 0, and he's nearly 6.5 tenths down in Sector 1. So I think either he's invalidated or the track conditions have changed somewhat. We've got a few other drivers still out on circuit. Thomas is 4 seconds down in Sector 2. Samster has also completed his next lap. He was half a second down. Who else we got? Matt Tibos, we know, is coming back into the pits. Onyx, we know, is just backing off as well, maybe going again. Louis then, the pole man at the moment, retires from the session. Just 7.5 minutes left of this session as well, and I don't think we're going to be seeing any more changes, which is going to be good news for Louis. He has a 34-point lead in the, and I've just caught sight of Onyx's Halloween helmet. That looks absolutely hilarious and ridiculous at the same time. So Louis then on provisional pole, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to keep that as well, with a startling 104.101 for the McLaren driver. And his nearest challengers, well, Blizzard is in 4th place. Marquez's is not here tonight, and he's the best part of about 60 odd points back at this point. And both the Williams drivers in 14th for Onyx, 15th for Paris. And Onyx is going again then. He saved the ERS, obviously had enough fuel. He's only a 10th down on his previous best, so maybe the conditions out there are just good enough to sneak in another flying lap on these Redwood soft tyres. But the top 4 have all retired from the session. Same for Wommer and 8th for Lewis in 10th. They feel they can do no better, and it's pointless sitting in the garage looking at the screens. Might as well watch the action like you and I are. So Onyx then now halfway round Sector 2, the double left-handers. Oh, snap of oversteer into the gravel. That lap is now completely ruined, and he was half a second down on his previous best anyway. And you can see now he really is struggling to fight that car. So I feel then that this qualifying session is pretty much over and done with. I don't know if Onyx is going to try and go again. No, he's not. He's into the pits. That will be it, I think. That will be the session, I think, over. Because if it was certainly going to dry up towards the end, the top 4 wouldn't have retired from the session. So it looks like then our qualifying order, with IRT Louis on pole position for McLaren. Both the racing points, the VRT guys of Chapelele in 2nd, Midnight in 3rd, Blizzard in P4 for Red Bull, LR Yogurts 5th for Mercedes, and then it's TTG Thomas P6 for Haas, Samster in 7th, Wommer 8th, Matt, Sam's teammate in 9th, Lewis, the Sol Toro Rosso here tonight in P10, then it's Brettstedt in 11th. Hoping to pick up a few more points tonight, and then both the Alfa Romeos of Matt Tebos and LR Nick 12th and 13th, but the big surprise is the Williams guys of VSR Onyx 14th, STV Paris in 15th. And what will be good now is the rest of these drivers all retire from the session. If they're not planning on going out again, please retire. There's no point sitting here for the best part of 5 minutes watching the clock run down, and it looks like that Onyx actually is going to come back out on circuit, so he's deciding to not retire. He's going to come back out on circuit and get some, try and get a bit of, what shall I say, TV time for himself. Blizzard's come on stream to say it's a dry race. Thank you very much for that, Blizzard. It's always difficult for me to really tell. I don't get the information that the drivers do get on screen, of course. I sort of have to wing it and guess to see what's going to happen. So Blizzard has come in to say that it is going to be a dry race, and Wommer has also come in to say no one will improve. Yep, I'm pretty much guaranteed that no one will improve, otherwise the top guys would not have retired from the session. So Brettstedt still in the pits, yet to retire. Same for STV Paris. Onyx, though, has decided to get out there on circuit and to have a little bit of extra TV time for himself. But with just over 4 minutes left of the session, the order you see on the left hand side, unless there is any penalties which I missed, that will be the order going into this race. And with a dry race as well, I believe everyone will, inside the top 10, will have to start on those soft tyres. Yes, it was changeable conditions, but it wasn't a full wet qualifying session, and they all set their lap times on the soft. So I do believe in that they will all have to start on the soft tyres as well, which would be quite interesting, because I think a few of them drivers actually completed multiple laps on those soft tyres. 11th down, we'll have a free choice, of course, and I'll be expecting a couple of them at the back to go for the hard tyres, go as long as they can into the race to try and pick up some extra positions as well. So Onyx Ed on a quote-unquote flying lap here, but I think he's going to be off the pace just a little bit, as the rain, I believe, is still continuing to fall. Still got DRS enabled though, so it hasn't got to the stage yet where it's absolutely teeming down. And with Onyx still out there on the dry tyres as well, he just wants to gain some invaluable experience, but as it's being a dry race, it's a little bit pointless. So with that Halloween special helmet, it looks absolutely fantastic and ridiculous. As he locks up going into turn 3, we'll jump on board as the back end decides to dance away from him. Manages to correct it and control it very nicely. Now coming into the double left-hander, where we saw him run wide through here with a nice snap of the oversteer into the gravel, which ruined his previous lap. And you can see there he's 4.5 seconds down. So yeah, quite clearly that this is a pointless exercise really to try and improve his lap time, but he's just getting out there to try and gain some track knowledge for whatever it's going to be worth in these changeable conditions. Through the final corner then, over the line, this will be a 108 something, I reckon. It is a 108.638, 3.3 seconds off his previous best. Baboon J just coming in saying they should just retire. Yeah, ideally I'd prefer that, to be honest. These drivers, of course, they don't have to. Most have, because they can't be bothered going out again. Brettstedt and Paris have not retired for whatever reason. They're just sitting in the pits, and Onyx obviously wants to do a couple of laps in an empty track as well towards the end of qualifying. We don't have to ask these drivers, you know, if you're not going to go out again or it's pointless improving your lap time, please retire to, you know, get to the race quicker. You know, it's an 18-minute qualifying session. These drivers are free to do what they want in that 18 minutes. So if Onyx wants to go out there to do a couple of extra laps for whatever reason, he's perfectly entitled to do so. Yes, it would be nice, of course, if all the drivers could retire and we can get on with the race, but I'm not going to hold it against Onyx. If he wants to go out there and do a few laps, then be what it may. So again, just completing another lap. Not running any ERS this time, so it might be a slightly slower lap. In fact, he's feeling the need to just weave left to right a little bit. So not too sure what the weather was like in the 3 previous tiers that have been racing and running tonight. but I'm sure that it would have been a hotly contested and very close affair. Shortest lap on the calendar, of course, and with all that DRS on the first 3 straights and some heavy braking and some other long straights around the rest of the lap as well, you can expect the old DRS/slipstream trains to be in effect in this race as well. Keep an eye on both of these Rocket Williams guys, Onyx, who we're looking at here, and Paris, qualifying at the back of the field in 14th and 15th, down to well, 2 reasons, I think. First of all, every driver at the beginning of the session went out in the soft tyres. Both the Williams drivers went out on the mediums, which I think was a bit of a mistake once they realised what the track was like once they left their pit box. And then Onyx, unfortunately, made a mistake on his second run once he was on the soft tyres. And Paris, unfortunately, left it too late to come back out of the pits again, which is why they're both down in 14th and 15th. Onyx has now backed off, coming into the pits. There's only 15 seconds left of the session. So ILRT Louis then has taken pole position here. Championship leader starting in P1. Both the Racing Points will be very happy with their efforts. P2 and P3 for Chapelele and Midnight. Blizzard in P4. LR Yogurt in P5. So the top 5 have already been through, so we'll carry on the order then. TDG Thomas, who used to be known as LTU Thomas in the Haas, is in P6 ahead of Samstat in 7th. Wommer, a new driver in the McLaren, in 8th. Matt FNG in 9th. Lewis Basol Toro Rosso in P10. Then outside of it, we've got Brettster in the Haas. Both the Alfa Romeos of Matt DeVos and LR Nick. And then at the back of the field, you can see there on the medium tyres I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, VSR Onyx and S2V Paris. 15 drivers. I don't think there's going to be any more joining us before we go to the race. And just 1.3 seconds really separated these drivers, but it's just over a second with all of those on the soft tyres. I'm going to take a very, very short break. I'll be back with you guys during the formation lap. And something has clearly gone wrong here. It looks like we've had a lobby crash. Some drivers have left. We've got penalties out there as well. Some looks like they've completed the formation lap. Others are away now. So it looks like we're going to unfortunately have a bit of a lobby reset here. Which is going to throw a few things into disarray. Some drivers on the grid, others have ghosted, some have stopped. We've got a hard car spinning whilst ghosted. Other drivers have left the session. So do stand by, because as Flabsky Plays comes in, hashtag esports ready. Yes, isn't it just? So there we go then. So something has obviously gone wrong here. Samster, who is the lobby host, has left the session. Other drivers are going to be doing the same, and I will probably go a bit blue screen in a few seconds as I go and check my notifications to make sure I obviously get an invite to the new session as well. So again, I'm going to go a little bit silent here. Do stay with us, guys, and hopefully we'll be back with the race in just a couple of minutes. So, thank you for everyone that did hang around during that little delay. Apologies, not really my fault, but I feel I need to apologise to everyone. Unfortunately, it sounded like someone maybe glitched the lobby, which is why the first race start was basically abandoned. So we've got obviously no qualifying now. It's straight into the race for the second attempt. Obviously a custom grid as well, which means that the lobby host, I believe was Sam, can put everyone in the correct order they were, after qualifying. Also, I hope and pray that those that did qualify inside the top 10 have automatically put themselves on the soft tyres. It's the fairest thing to do, I think, and everyone outside from 11th down to 15th, of course, still has a free choice of what they're going to do. But it is still nice to see, though, that the lobby has, I think, been set up correctly. We've got beautiful skies here in Austria because it was supposed to be a dry race, so that's exactly what we're going to have as well. So the session starts in 16 seconds, and by the looks of it, thank you very much to all of you that have hung around for the last 10-15 minutes whilst we've tried to get all these issues sorted out. And hopefully at the second time of asking we can get this race on the go. So then, the formation lap is now underway. Louis on pole position for the McLaren team leads away. The pair of the racing points of Chapelele and Midnight in second and third place. We'll bring up the tyres then. Indeed, the top 10 have started on the soft tyres. They're all joined by Bretster, who's down in 11th place. He's also gone onto the soft tyres. Both the Alfa Romeos in 12th and 13th, and the Williams guys in 14th and 15th have all gone onto the medium tyres. And Blizzard will be looking to try and get past these racing points as quickly as possible to challenge Louis for a potential race win here tonight to reduce his lead in the championship. Currently stands at 34 points. Eli Yogurt as well in 5th place. He actually had a penalty going into the start of this race. Obviously he might have picked something up in qualifying. I did see the little messages that they were sending to each other in the few minutes I was away, so I think that penalty is now being rescinded, if that's the word I'm looking for. He doesn't have to take anything now, so that's fine for him. Thomas in 6th place in the Haas ahead of Samster in 7th, and we've got Wommer in 8th, Matt 9th, Lewis in 10th place. So then Bretster, then the final driver on the soft tyres, in 11th, and we've got Matt Tibos in 12th, Ella Nick 13th, and then Onyx and Paris 14th and 15th for the Williams team. We'll have to keep one eye on how these drivers progress in the early laps, because those Williams drivers are certainly not the two slowest cars here. They'll be ruining that mistake in qualifying. The rain came down pretty much as soon as the green light came on at the exit of pit lane for the start of the qualifying session. Every driver went out on the soft tyres apart from the two Williams drivers who elected the mediums. It didn't work. They was at the bottom of the field. Paris left it too late to come back out on circuit on soft tyres once he came back into the pits, and Onyx did go back out again but made a mistake on his flying lap, which is why both of them are down in 14th and 15th. But we won't worry about them for the first couple of moments. We'll worry about Louis and Chapelele, who are joined together on the front row of the grid. Fantastic camera angle here, looking down from turn 1 to the start gantry here as the 5 lights come on for round 9 here in Austria. Can they keep it clean? The lights are out and away they go now. Lewis in 10th has a jump start for a drive-through penalty for a jump start, and a great start by Yogurt as well, up from 5th, challenging Chapelele for 2nd, who runs wide off the circuit as well, but Louis keeps hold of the lead. Eli Yogurt up into 2nd place, Midnight remains in 3rd, Blizzard remains in 4th position as well, Thomas in 5th, and Samson's up to 6th, Chapelele all the way down into 7th place. The rest of the field just streaming through up to the top of the hill for turn 2 as well. Both the Williams drivers well in the mix as Blizzard tries to challenge Midnight for P3 and takes that position. Lewis off the circuit in the background as well, falls to the back of the field. Blizzard in 3rd, Midnight in 4th, Thomas in 5th position as well. We've got Samster and Chapelele fighting over 6th and 7th, but Louis has made the perfect start, leads away with a healthy gap already. 8 tenths back to Yogurt in 2nd position, Blizzard in 3rd, Midnight down into 4th position. So the Racing Point started 2nd and 3rd, and now running 4th and in 7th position. We've got Wommer in 8th, Bretster has made 2 positions up into 9th, and the Williams guys of Onyx and Paris already up into 10th and 11th place. So a few drivers have fallen back. Lewis off the circuit on the exit of turn 2, which is why he's down in 15th. He's got a drive-through penalty which he's serving at the end of the first lap as well. And just like that, lap 1 is completed. Louis leads 7 tenths ahead of Onyx, Blizzard in 3rd, Midnight in 4th, Thomas in 5th place for Haas as the rest of the field all filter their way through. Lewis there completing his drive-through penalty. He'll be back out a long way behind these guys, but Louis leads him. Yoga in 2nd place, Blizzard in 3rd, looking to try and put some initial early pressure on the back of that Mercedes. He wants to get past Eli Yoga and start challenging and catching up to Louis in 2nd place. Midnight then down into 4th, holding on at the moment. Thomas in 5th and Chapelele in 6th position. Looks like he's defending from Samster. He's going to try this around the hard way into turn 3, but gets a little bit balked on exit. Might give Warmer an opportunity into the double lefts, but it isn't going to work this time by, so he remains in 8th place. Samster again having a little look at the inside of Chapelele, who's struggling in these opening laps then. Starting to have a few cars form up behind him. Wommer, Bretster in 9th, Onyx in 10th as well, being led through with his teammate Paris just behind him. Both the Alfa Romeos back there in 13th and 14th, haven't made any real progress. So have a look at the position changes. Yoga, an almighty start from row 3 up into 2nd position, has gained 3 positions at the start. Blizzard and Thomas both up 1. Chapelele is the biggest loser really, down 4 positions from 2nd into 6th. Bretster's made 2, both the Williams drivers up 4 positions each, and Louis then 5 positions down, having jumped the start unfortunately, serving a drive-through penalty. DRS is now active then. We've got 3 zones here. The main straight, this straight here leading between turn 1 and turn 2, and then another bite at the cherry here from turn 2 all the way down into turn 3. No one's really close enough, it doesn't look like, to try anything. Everyone's getting slipstream, everyone's getting DRS, so it's going to be follow the car in front for the initial opening laps here. It won't be until around about lap 9 or 10 that we start to see the drivers in the soft tyres maybe struggle for a bit of grip and speed. This should still be a one-stop race for these guys. Those starting on the soft tyres may now have the opportunity of going soft onto mediums. Before it would have been soft onto hards, because they would have been running a set of soft tyres that they used in qualifying. So it would have had a few extra laps worth of wear on those tyres. But of course, because all these tyres are fresh, having had to restart the race session, there's an opportunity that all of these guys on the softs can go onto the mediums. Those on the mediums will be looking to try and go onto the softs if they can. On board with McLaren of Wommer here as he hunts down Samster's P7. Now into lap 4:36, just running wide a little bit. Bretster picks up the first time penalty. There'll be a few in this race. 9th place for him. He has a 3-second time penalty. Onyx and Paris just holding on a little bit on those medium tyres. They don't really need to start fighting their way through the field just yet. They need to stick with these guys that are on the quicker, grippier soft tyres. But in a handful of laps, those mediums will start to come into their own. Meanwhile, further back, we've got Back to Boss putting a move and getting past Matt FNG for what is 13th place. Lewis still a long way back in 15th, as you would imagine, after that drive-through penalty. But the rest of the field pretty much just following each other at the moment. The Alfa Romeos in 12th and 13th have dropped off the Williams guys, and Samster in 7th place is already a second and a half behind Chapelele, and he's got pretty much the rest of the midfield behind him. So the top 6 are sort of locked into their own little train, if you like. And then we've got 7th down to 11th, and then 12th down to 14th as Midnight, one's wide in the final couple of corners, running in P4, picks up a 3-second time penalty. So the racing points are still in contention for a good result. Not as good as it would have been after qualifying, as Chapelele cuts turn 1, picks up a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. Remember, Midnight started in P3, Chapelele was in P2, but then went too deep into turn 1 at the start, ran wide over the exit curves and dropped all the way back into 6th position. Meanwhile, Blizzard very close to the back of Yogurt, but he won't be able to do anything, unfortunately, because look, Yogurt is still getting a DRS from Louis as well. So the top 6 very close together. Meanwhile, Samster and Wommer, I believe, are battling over 7th and 8th, but Wommer's had to back off. Bretster in 9th has now got both of Onyx and Paris starting to hunt him down as well. So the opening laps here, as you would expect, everyone using the slipstream in the DRS to stay with the car in front. We've got yellow flag in sector 2. So I don't think it's anyone up front. Must be someone further back. It is. It's Matt FNG going slowly with a damaged front wing. I think he's missing a large chunk of that front right. We'll need a better camera angle. He has indeed. So he's either made contact or hit the wall by himself, going very slowly, touring back to the pits, possibly to retire in the pit lane or at least have a new front wing change. So one Renault still running in 7th place, the other one into the pits at the end of lap 5 for a new front wing. Louis then into lap 6 of 36 here. He may have to defend from Yogurt behind, who's very, very close to the behind him. Blizzard as well. So the top 3 then slowly started to pull away. Midnight there, you can see just a little bit way back. He is busy defending from Thomas, so the top three very close together. Is Jogic going to try something into turn 3? He doesn't. We've got yellow flag in sector 1 and now sector 2 as well. Samster, what's happened to Samster? He's all the way down in 13th, so one Renault has been off the track for a lap to go, and now the other one has come a cropper somewhere. He's got damage on the front right of his front wing as well, so both the Renault drivers have been involved in incidents here early on. And Samster, who was running in 7th place, now all the way down in 13th with a badly damaged front wing. Both Alfa Romeo still locked together in 11th and 12th. Then we come to Bretster, who's now fallen behind both of the Williams drivers. So Paris up to P9, Onyx up to P8 as they start to begin the chase to Wommer ahead. And this should be easy pickings for the Williams drivers. The soft tyres will slowly start to be going off at this point, and you can see there Wommer is 4 seconds away from Chapelele in P6, so he definitely won't be getting the DRS then. And this is going to be a great opportunity for both Onyx and Paris to slowly start moving up the order. More penalties coming in. Samster into the pits and picks up a pit lane speeding penalty, as well as Wommer just about leaves enough room there for Onyx. And it's going to be the battle of the grip coming out of it, but still enough for no soft tyres at the moment. Jump aboard of Paris. Maybe you're getting a good indication to how to get past this McLaren driver. Wommer defends the inside to turn 3. Onyx will have to give us a hard way round. Oh, Wommer's locked up, one wide. Off the circuit he goes. The McLaren has locked up, left his braking way too late, and he's fallen off the circuit all the way down into P12. Both of the Williams drivers, Bretster, and both of the Alfa Romeo drivers have been gifted a position there. The McLaren driver just too aggressive there on the brakes, unfortunately, and he's thrown away a P7 all the way down into 12th. So the Williams drivers then, after starting 14th and 15th, have already passed half of the field, and it's only lap 7 or lap 8 now. 4.5 seconds back. So these two, I think, we might have to work together a little bit. Onyx, if he's the quicker man, will pull Paris along, but don't be surprised if Paris is slightly quicker and they change positions, because the quicker guy should be in front, and he'll hopefully pull, or he will pull, the slower guy along with the slipstream and the DRS. So 7th and 8th now for the Williams guys. Meanwhile, back towards the front of the field, it's a 6-car train here behind Louis. There's Yogurt still in P2, Blizzard P3, Midnight, Thomas and Chapelele completes for top 6 as well. All of his drivers qualified inside the top 10, all starting on the soft tyres, and all be hoping to do the one stop here onto the mediums, but maybe one or two might dump in a bit early to the pits and put on a set of hard tyres and try to get a bit of an undercut if they can. As Wommer leaves the session then, so he comes into the pits and immediately leaves the session, obviously unhappy with how that incident unfolded for him, but to be honest, it was his own fault. Onyx didn't do anything wrong. Wommer defended the inside, and the McLaren driver left his braking way too late, locked up the right front, had no grip, off the circuit he went, fell down the order, and now he's coming in the pits and left the session in disgust as Thomas here gets very close to the back of Midnight, and he would have been compromised on exit as well. Might give Chapelele an opportunity here into turn 2, but he's too far back as well. Meanwhile, towards the front as well, Yogurt's still very close to the back of that McLaren of Louis. And I think Louis feels quite comfortable in this situation. I mean, ideally, he wouldn't want 5 cars very close behind him, all being pulled along by his slipstream and DRS, but he's in the lead of the race, and that's the all-important thing at this stage. And I think that Louis has been in this position one too many times before, and he's quite comfortable leading a pack round, knowing that they won't try anything too risky into one of the braking zones. Oh, and Yogurt just getting a bit of a slide on there, going into turn 5. And Blizzard closes up as well, coming into turn 6, and now for the kink of 7. Short shifting as well to try and kill the rear wheel spin. Any drivers decide to move over to the right hand side into the pits? Nope, not this time by, so another lap or 2 at least. As Louis yet again led from the start, still leading at the moment. Oh, we got a force, not a Force India, sorry, I knew I was going to call it a Force India eventually. It was the racing point of Chapelele, just running off the circuit at the final corner, so now he's dropped back, and he's going to find the going a bit tough now to try and close back up, to retake the opportunity to have the DRS. Meanwhile, further back, Onyx now 2.6 behind Chapelele, but that's largely due to the fact that Chapelele's fallen off the circuit. They've dropped Bretster as well. So the Williams guys in 7th and 8th, starting at the back of the field on the medium tyres, locked together. I think Paris is quite happy to follow his teammate at the moment. You don't want to be losing time battling each other. And these guys are quite happy to just not trundle around, but keep going with the pace. They're running to a pace, if you like, on these medium tyres. They don't want to be taking too much life out of these, trying to catch up to the soft runners ahead of them for the next few laps, because if they do that, then they'll be burning through these medium tyres at a quicker rate, and the last thing they want to do is go mediums hards. They want to try and go medium soft if they can. It is a doable strategy for these guys. Very smooth, very clean. And so these guys will be looking to just run to a pace. If they close up a little bit, then so be it. Yeah, for Mayo's, meanwhile, Matt Tibos and LR Nick changing positions. And LR Nick in 11th picks up a time penalty for the trouble. Meanwhile, further back, Lewis, we know, is being in the pits for a drive-through penalty. He's in 11th. Samster back out on circuit. He's had a front wing change. Same for Matt as well. And Wommer's car is back out on circuit, but he has left the session. And Wommer has come on stream as well. In the words of Charles Leclerc, I'm stupid. Don't want to call you stupid. That's a bit of an unfair thing to say. But yes, it was kind of your own mistake. Meanwhile, whilst all that's going on, this lot are battling. Look at this. Blizzard up to second. Midnight and Yogurt now fighting over third and fourth. And I think LR Yogurt's going to try and give the squeeze to the Racing Point driver. Indeed he does. And that might give Thomas an opportunity in P5. But he's got to back off. No way round the outside. Coming into the double left-hander here. Lap 11 of 36. These laps tumble. Shortest lap on the calendar. This race will be over in the blink of an eye. And so Yogurt then has lost P2. And it's given a bit of breathing space to Louis ahead as well. And I think Yogurt might be coming into the pits as well. Moves over to the right-hand side. Indeed, he does then. So the first of the top 6, if you like, even though Chapellet's dropped off a little bit. Oh, he's hit the inside curb at the final corner. And that will naturally spit the car out onto the exit curb as well. So Chapellet really running a ragged race at the moment. Yogurt in then. Going on to the, well, I'll change that. Let's have a look. He's going on to the medium tyres. 24 laps attempting on the medium tyres for Yogurt. Lewis in the pits as well. Samster and Matt obviously changing onto the hard tyres, having made a pit stop a few laps ago. So Lewis, he's now coming into the pits. He's out of position. He had to make a drive-through penalty at the end of lap 1 for jumping the start. And it looks like he is going on to the medium tyres then. So Lewis then back out, should be comfortably out in still in 12th place. So then, these guys would have known or seen at least Yogurt pits in for a set of medium tyres. So the advantage is now with the Mercedes driver because he is in a bit of clean air. We've got yellow flag in sector 1. Samster's retired. What's happened there? We'll jump on board with Matt. There he is on the right hand side. He's lost it on the exit of turn 1, I feel, and has put it into the wall. So our first official retirement is Samster at the end of lap 11. Meanwhile, at the end of lap 12, Louis coming into the pits in, our race leader. He's joined in the pit lane by Blizzard and Chapellet. So Midnight's Racing Point takes the lead of this race, and Chapellet picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Louis back out on the medium tyres. Chapellet and Blizzard doing the same as well. So the order will now change for the next few laps as those going long into this race now start to move up the order. This is the opportunity that Williams have been waiting for. Paris now ahead of Onyx. Oh, and we've got a Alfa Romeo there. Who's that? That's LR Nick, who has spun. And has he retired from the session? I'm not too sure. No, he's still off the circuit. You can see there on the right hand side he's ghosted, and now he retires from the session. That is an unusual place to lose the car, so I can only assume that Nick has made contact with another competitor. He definitely has damage on that front wing as well. So LR Nick then becomes our second retirement in the space of 2 minutes. Must have made contact with someone on circuit. Not too sure who it would have been. It would have been pretty terrible if it was his own teammate. We'll jump on board with Matt Tibos just to see if he's got any damage. Difficult to tell from these camera angles. No, he seems okay. So it wasn't his own teammate. Midnight pits from the lead, handing the lead to the Haas driver of Thomas. Paris and Onyx now up into P2 and P3, and they are starting to gain, as you would expect at this stage, on the soft shod Haas car. Midnight making the change onto the medium tyres. Where's he going to be joining in all this? I think he's going to be behind Louis, Blizzard, Yogurt and with Chapellet and all this. It might be close between the Racing Points. Chapellet again cuts turn 1, again picks up a 3-second time penalty. So he's got a few seconds to be added on at the end. So the Racing Points that started P2 and P3 at this stage now running in P9 and P10, which is something they would not want approaching the halfway stage in this race. Yogurt then in P8, he's just behind Blizzard. We've got Bretster losing a position to Louis, which is to be expected. Louis on a fresh set of mediums. Bretster going long onto these soft tyres as long as he can. We'll come back out to Thomas though. I'll be expecting him into the pits, although that's not the line you would take into the pit lane. In fact, it isn't, because he's going for another lap here then. and runs wide through the final corner for good measure as well. And the Williams guys then now up into P2 and P3, and in a lap or two they will be first and second, but yet to make their one and only, or projected one and only stop, which I expect anywhere from about lap 20 to lap 23 onto the soft tyres. And Onyx there getting a nice run on his teammate Paris, who puts up no fight. These two are working well together. If one's quicker than the other at various stages, they're easily changing positions, pulling each other along. And the strategy may not be the race winning strategy for these guys, because Louis is about 9 seconds back from these two, and obviously a pit stop takes a bit longer than 9 seconds. But Onyx and Paris are an opportunity here to put the damage in qualifying to right with a strong points finish for both drivers. And you never know, they may get stronger as the race goes on, having been on making a change onto possibly the soft tyres in the second half of this race. So we'll have to keep, again, one eye on their progress throughout. So Matt Tibos still running in 4th place. He's yet to make his first pit stop. And Louis then is the first driver that has made his projected one and only stop. And he is 3 seconds ahead of Blizzard, who's still got LR Yogurt behind him. As race leader Thomas now pits off of those soft tyres, but I feel he's going to fall maybe even behind both of the racing points here, going a bit too long, I think, on those soft tyres. But he's on a slightly fresher set of mediums. It might work out well for him. You can see on the right hand side there, both the racing points flash past underneath the start lights here, ahead of Thomas, who is still on the pit lane limiter. So indeed Thomas has rejoined down in 9th place, which is a net P6 at the moment, and top 3 yet to make pit stops. Yogurt and Blizzard exchanging positions on the run up to turn 2. And the Mercedes driver takes back the P2 that he had after that blistering start all them laps ago. So Yogurt and Blizzard, nice little battle between these two, but they've allowed this man here, Louis, to escape, who's now nearly 4 seconds ahead of the Mercedes driver. And once the top 3 pit in the next handful of laps, Louis will retake the lead of this race, and as long as he can look after his medium tyres and make no mistakes, he'll be looking to lock out another race win here in the Prestige tier for One Hub Racing. So that's 17 of 36, almost at a half race distance. Plenty has happened already, plenty more to come. Yogurt has a 3-second time penalty. And for those of you, sometimes I do get asked, why don't you check the race directed to see who has what? As Matt down in 12th picks up a time penalty as well. I don't like to check, as I said before, and I'll keep saying, I like the race to just go with the flow, call the action as I see it, and then see the position changes at the end. But there's certainly a few penalties out there. Yogurt has at least a 3-second penalty, and probably picked up another warning for that as well. Paris now has a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits on the exit of I would only assume to be turn 1. So the top 3 then started on the medium tyres outside the top 10, now running in 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Of course, they've yet to make their one stop change, or their one stop. As here comes Blizzard up the inside with the DRS. Will come off board to have a look to see this move completed as the brake discs glow ferociously red, reaching almost 1,000 degrees Celsius, and up into what will be P2 for Blizzard, pushing Yogurt down into what is essentially P3. And both the racing points are keeping check with these guys as Yogurt gets very close to the back of Blizzard as well. Might have even given him a little bit of a love tap there on the rear of that Red Bull. So the racing points, they're pacing qualifying 2nd and 3rd. They seem to be doing a good job here, holding on in 7th and 8th at the moment. We've got yet a flag somewhere, and Bretz has lost a position, so I think he's had an off somewhere in turn 2, because he's now a few seconds behind Lewis. You know, Matt down in 12th is a long way back. Wommer, we know, has left the session. Louis in 4th place picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits one too many times. Don't think it will hurt him too much, as Blizzard sets the new fastest lap with a 106.816. As it stands, Louis and Blizzard won't change positions, but we'll have to keep one eye on that, because if Blizzard is feeling a bit more comfortable in these medium tyres compared to Louis, then that gap might close down a little bit. We've got yellow flags again in sector 3, so someone's had an off. It's Bretster. Bretster's retired. Where is he? There he is on the side of a track, so I think he's had another off. Bretster, his car looked like it could still carry on, but I think Bretster in the Haas youngster has thrown in the towel at half race distance and one too many mistakes for his liking, and he says, I can't be taking this no more, I am leaving. So Bretster then becomes our third official retirement, although Wommer has left the session. So essentially we are down to just 11 of the 15 guys that started. Yellow flag still out in sector 3. No sign of a virtual safety car or a real safety car, as the Williams guys now take the lead of this race. Onyx ahead of Paris, and again they're just playing follow each other as it stands at the moment, looking after the medium tyres, setting consistent and clean lap times, seeing where they'll rejoin once they make their pit stops onto what will inevitably be a set of soft tyres in the next few laps. Matt Tibos picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, and he's pushing the car hard because he's got Louis behind him. Matt, of course, in the Alfa Romeo, another driver to start outside the top 10. Very late on the brakes there from the McLaren driver, who knows he has a 3-second time penalty and may very well know that Blizzard has nothing behind him, or at least to my knowledge Blizzard has no penalties. But I think this will be a relatively comfortable move for the McLaren driver into the braking zone up the inside for turn 3. Matt will know no point attacking or defending this position because you'll be losing time. The race isn't with Louis, it's with everyone else further down the order. Bretster then leaves the session after retiring a couple of minutes ago. And Louis then, he don't think he'll catch the Williams pair before they make a pit stop. So Louis will be hoping that Matt will fall back a little bit and hold up Blizzard. But he's still pulling Yogurt, Midnight and Chapelele along very nicely. As Paris then, the second of the Williams drivers, decides at the end of lap 20 to make his pit stop onto the, I assume, a set of soft tyres. Where will he rejoin in all of this? He's not even in his pit box yet. So indeed, the red walled soft tyres go on for the Williams driver, and he falls all the way down behind the guys that were battling over the top positions early in this race. He'll be rejoined comfortably ahead of Lewis. So Paris then out in 9th. He's about 3.5, 4 seconds behind Thomas, who in turn is 3 seconds behind that little battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th between Blizzard, Yogurt and the racing points of Midnight and Chapelele. So we'll cut away from Paris, but we'll certainly keep one eye on him. So Chapelele then, still giving chase to the cars ahead. Midnight has now caught Yogurt and Blizzard. And again, these guys very evenly matched on pace throughout this race on both the soft and the medium compound tyres. I think Onyx then will probably be in at the end of this lap. Let's have a look. Obviously moving over to the right hand side. He was a little bit. Oh, extends the white line just a bit, but we'll let him off with that one. Into the pits then comes our race leader, VSR Onyx, as he will now make the change as well as his teammate has done a lap ago onto the soft tyres. Louis then will we take the lead of this race as a car ahead. I can only assume that he's his disconnected, ghosted teammate Wommer. Indeed it is. So Matt up to second place. He's going for at least another lap then on those medium tyres. Blizzard, Yogurt, Midnight, Chapelele all up into 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Thomas as well into P7. And now will Paris and Onyx get the jump on each other? It's very close between the pair of them. But Paris does come, or Onyx I should say, comes out behind. We've got Midnight and Blizzard fighting over position for 4th and 5th on the exit of turn 2. Side by side as well. Who has a DRS? Difficult to tell. Looks like it might have been Midnight. He's slowly pulling away a little bit as Blizzard tries to give him as much of a squeeze as he can. Midnight's got to try and complete this running outside if he can. Good grip from the Racing Point driver as well on those medium tyres, but I think Blizzard might just about keep that position. Indeed he does. Might run a little wide there going through the double left-hander, and Chapelele closing up a little bit as you would imagine with these two battling. So the Racing Point still want a podium out of this at least. They want one of their drivers on one of those top steps of the podium. Qualified in P2 and P3, and once Matt politely jumps into the pits, they'll be running in 4th and 5th. Thomas just a few seconds back, and then of course you've got Paris and Onyx that are going to be the quickest guys on the circuit now in those soft tyres. Matt indeed does finally make that pit stop off of those medium tyres. Well done for going 23 laps. There's a new fastest lap to one of the Williams drivers. Not too sure which one it is, as Chapelele picks up a 3-second time penalty. So there we go then. This is the true order of the race as it stands. Lap 23 of 36, just 13 to go. Louis leads 4.5 seconds ahead of LR Yogurt. Blizzard very close behind, as is Midnight and Shapalele. And then 3 seconds back is Thomas in 6. He was with these guys early on in this race, but for whatever reason he's fallen back, probably because he went too long on those soft tyres, and the guys that pitted a few laps before him obviously went a bit quicker, which is why Thomas has fallen away from the top 5, and now he's got to look behind him rather than ahead of him, as both Paris and Onyx start to mount a challenge. Now on those very fresh set of soft tyres, they'll be frighteningly fast compared to everyone ahead. Don't know about the race win, to be honest with you. Louis is almost 4.5, well, he's over 4.5 seconds ahead of Yogurt, but there's a potential podium here for either Paris or Onyx, but they have to get past Thomas quicker rather than later. And this will be the first opportunity that Paris will have with the DRS, but he won't try into turn 1. Better opportunity will be into turn 2. Good exit from Thomas, to be honest with you. With those medium tyres, they are slightly fresher than the top 5, only by a couple of laps, but I don't think it will help too much. Here's come Paris then with the DRS up the inside, heavy braking into turn 2 as well. A little bit of ghosting there, so maybe there was a bit of contact between them. Thomas runs off the circuit as well, and that's been gifted a position to Onyx as well. So the Williams guys now up to P6 and P7. Shapalele's made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped off the back of those guys, Yogurt, Blizzard and Midnight. And Paris then, within a lap, I think he'll be in DRS range of the first racing point. And as soon as they manage to get past him successfully, the rest of the field up ahead as well. It's not a 4-car train. The car in front there is the disconnected, ghosted McLaren of Wommer, who left the session many laps ago. So Louis then on his own out front, 5 seconds ahead of Yogurt, who's got Blizzard in Midnight very close behind. And then Shapalele in 5th. Paris, who bumps across the curve at the final corner, but now already in DRS range, pulling Onyx along very nicely as well. Both of these drivers, as it stands, very well could be my pick for driver of the day. Coming from 14th to 15th is no easy feat around Austria. They're running 6th and 7th at the moment, and if they keep it clean and start passing people, who knows where they're going to finish up. Onyx very late on the break, had to take a little bit of avoiding action there to not hit the back of his own teammate. So any of these guys going to try anything into turn 3? Doesn't look like it. Paris, though, is going to try something with the DRS around the outside into turn 3. Shapalele will try to make it hard, give the squeeze on, didn't work. He's been lost momentum as well. And again, Onyx is just waiting and watching for his teammate to put a move on, forcing the other driver to make a mistake. And Onyx hasn't really had to flex his muscles too much yet. He's just relying on his teammate doing all the dirty work, getting past with some aggressive but fair moves, watching the drivers that are passing make mistakes, and then Onyx says, yep, you do that and I'll just follow you through, mate. The Williams guys now up into P5 and P6, and Paris already in DRS range. A podium position is very much on for these Williams guys. So we're on board with Midnight and now Blizzard as well. Yogurt doing a very good job in P2. And Blizzard gaining all the time on a run up to the hill towards Remus Curve. Does he try something? He doesn't. Midnight doesn't try anything either. And just like that, Paris is now with them on those soft tyres. They can comfortably get to the end as well. They'll be taking a little bit of extra life out of them, of course, by pushing as hard as they are. As it stands so far, these Williams guys are going to slowly start carving their way through this top 3. It's going to be difficult because obviously they're all getting DRS and slipstream off each other. The last couple of people have overtaken, Shapalele and Thomas, haven't had the benefit of following someone closely. So they're going to find it going a little bit tougher here. Certainly these guys are all fighting over a podium spot, but they're not going to want to give it up that easy. It's a 5-car fight now for P2. Mercedes, Red Bull, Racing Point, 2 Williams cars. Great helicopter shot here as well. Who had a better exit? Well, Paris had a slightly better exit, but Midnight, of course, will have the DRS. Up ahead as well, Blizzard very close to the back of Yogurt. Oh, and I think Midnight's just run wide a little bit. He has on the exit of turn 1, bounces across the curb, and again Paris putting a Racing Point under pressure, forcing him into mistake, and Onyx says thank you very much yet again, I'll just follow you through. Midnight might come back into turn 2, thinks better of it, and all this is allowing Shapalele to catch back up as well. So Yogurt and Blizzard P2 and P3, and that might be P3 and P2 now. Blizzard up the inside into turn 3. Does he give the squeeze? He doesn't. He's very respectful, gives Yogurt the space. And Paris will be watching this with keen interest. P2 and P3 is very much on for these Williams guys at the moment. I don't know if I can do anything about Louis ahead. But remember, Louis has a 3-second time penalty. I think both the Williams drivers have at least a 3-second time penalty as well, to be honest with you. So we'll have to see how that unfolds in the next 10 laps. But Blizzard then managing to repass the Mercedes of Yogurt for P2, who feels the need to defend because here comes Paris then. This is a potential overtake for the podium spot. Paris going to try this around the outside, maybe try and cut back if he can. Yogurt giving the squeeze, very defensive as well, and he's now got both the Williams guys line astern, both trying to find a way past up onto turn 2. Paris with the inside line is going to force Yogurt wide, and Onyx again says thank you very much to his teammate and takes advantage of that as well by getting past Paris. So Onyx then now up to P3, Paris in P4, and Yogurt has got to start defending that P5 for Midnight around the outside in turn 3 for the Racing Point driver, given the squeeze by Yogurt almost off the circuit, has to fall back into P6. And now the Williams guys of Onyx and Paris third and fourth. Paris has done all the hard work, pulling his teammate along, putting some aggressive moves on, and Onyx has basically just been gifted all of these positions. And then Paris ran wide and ran a little deep into turn 2. Onyx said thank you very much, that's now my opportunity to get past you. And his next opportunity will be getting past Blizzard for P2. Louis then with 7 or 8 laps left to go, 6 seconds ahead, won't be able to do anything into turn 1. Midnight manages to pass Yogurt. But this is the opportunity. This is the best opportunity around the whole circuit. And Blizzard there, look at the straight line difference. And I think Paris is going to have an opportunity to maybe get up the inside as well. Indeed he does. Ducks out of the slipstream from the Red Bull driver. And just like that, oh, Paris very deep into turn 2. And just like that, Onyx P2, Paris P3. I don't think these guys that have just lost these positions are going to have any hope in hell of getting back now for the next couple of laps. Oh, and further back, that was very aggressive defensive driving there by Yogurt, forcing Midnight almost onto the grass. These two falling back a little bit in their little battle for P5 and P6, but Chappellini and Thomas close behind. Matt back in the pits as well. I think he's made multiple pit stops at this point. So Lewis now up into 9th place. Matt Tibos in the sole remaining Alpha down in 10th. Might lose that to Matt FNG. Indeed he does. So the Renault driver, the sole Renault driver, now I'm into 10th place. Matt in 11th. Wommer, we know, has left the session. So Louis then coming through now with 6 or 7 laps left to go. It's 7 laps left to go. Now has a 5.3 second lead over Onyx. Louis definitely has a 3-second time penalty. I feel both the Williams drivers have 3-second penalties as well. But now the chase is on for Onyx and Paris to see if they can pull off the unlikely of unlikelies and pick up a race win here. But P2 and P3 at the moment, after starting 14th and 15th, is a very, very good result with all things considered. So Blizzard there still trying to valiantly give chase on those medium tyres, just looking up the right front in turn 3, but I think in a lap or 2 he's going to be out of DRS range here, but he's doing well at the moment, just sticking to the back of his Williams guys. And the gap continues to come down. It's now down to 4.8. It was 5.2 at the beginning of this lap, 4.7 now, so they are catching. As Blizzard cuts turn 7 and picks up a 3-second time penalty for his trouble. I think Blizzard was the only one out there of these top guys that didn't have a penalty yet. He definitely has one now, so there's a possibility here that the order doesn't even change because everyone has the same amount of penalties. Well, at 31 of 36 here, the death throes of this race. We had the delay at the start due to some glitches, and Onyx and Paris exchange positions again. This stage of the race, Paris is obviously the quicker of the two drivers, and the Paris will now try to pull his teammate along whilst also trying to close a gap to Louis ahead. We haven't seen much of him in the last 10 or so laps. We've been focusing on all the battles behind. But the McLaren driver has done everything right, but he'll be aware that Paris and Onyx are P2 and P3. He'll be aware they're both on the soft tyres, and he'll be aware that he's slowly losing time. Although this lap hasn't been too bad. He's only about 2-3 tenths down. There's Matt Tibos further back, manages to pass the other Matt FNG for 10th place. Lewis is in the pits as well, possibly going for a fastest lap, which has now been set by Matt Tibos. So Louis then coming across the line, start lap 32 of 36. Just to reiterate about the whole fastest lap thing, One Hub Racing do something slightly different. Of course, if you set the fastest lap of the race, and you finish inside the top 10, you gain an extra championship point. But if you set the fastest lap from what I like to call bracket number 2, which is classified finishes from an 11th downwards, you set the fastest lap out of that bracket, you also gain an extra world championship point. As there's only 11 drivers left, all Lewis has got to do is set some sort of a fast lap, and he will pick up the extra championship point even if he doesn't finish inside the top 10. Meanwhile, Thomas and Chapelele battling over 7th and 8th on the run up to turn 2. And the Haas driver then now up into 7th, putting Chapelele down to 8th. These racing points, remember, started P2 and P3, now running in 5th and 8th. But further ahead, Yogurt and Midnight close together in 5th and 6th. And we've got Blizzard still hanging on there. Very good job by the Red Bull driver. Maybe these soft tyres, the amount of work that the Williams drivers have put these tyres through, maybe they're starting to fade off just a little bit at this stage with just a few laps left to go, because Blizzard, with the aid of Slipstream DRS, is holding on quite nicely. The gap between Paris and Louis is now only coming down by a couple of tenths a lap. So I think the attacking side of these Williams drivers has now got to turn into a defensive side, because I don't think they're going to be able to catch, as Yogurt and Thomas both pick up 3-second time penalties, or 8 additional 3-second time penalties for cutting turn 1. So I think the Williams drivers can kiss goodbye at P1, and now they're just focusing on defending this double podium finish, which is still be a very, very good result for the team. And trying to keep Blizzard away from getting back onto the podium. I feel at this stage the medium tyres, I mean, Blizzard's completed 20 laps, so they're certainly not in their best frame at the moment either. So I think these guys are sort of evenly matched on pace with the tyres they're running. And unless there's a big mistake from Louis up ahead, I don't think we'll be seeing anyone else win this race. And Louis driven a very, very good race. Pole position here at the very start of qualifying. A rain interrupted and a rain affected qualifying session. He set his lap within the first couple of minutes, and that was that done for him. And his start was good. Kept it clean. After the first couple of corners, he was several car lengths ahead as well. And then they all closed up with the Slipstream and DRS, but he did a good job keeping everyone behind. Timed his pit stop perfectly, came out in clean air, put some quick laps in, retook the lead of the race once everyone else pitted, and now holds the best part of a 4-odd second lead. What's going on back here? Paris, Onyx and Blizzard very close together, and I think Onyx and Paris have exchanged positions once again, and every time they do that, it just gives a slight whiff of an opportunity for Blizzard to try and get past one of these Williams drivers, but he's going to find it going incredibly tough to try and pass one or the other. Onyx, of course, helping his teammate along, and these two have been exchanging positions a few times recently as well. They are trying to work together as best as they can, but you can see there on the left the gap between Louis and Onyx is sort of stabilising around the 4.5 second mark. Penalties could change things, of course, at the end. Just 2 laps to go now, a couple of minutes, and we'll almost be done. It'll be a late finish. It'll be close to 11 o'clock by the time we're done here tonight, due to the problems we had at the aborted race start, the first attempt of it. So I don't know how many penalties some of these guys have got. Louis, I'm sure, has 3. I'm sure both Williams guys have at least 3. Blizzard has a 3-second time penalty, so the order might or might not change in a couple of laps' time. But the Williams drivers have to be applauded for their performances today. It's not easy carving your way through the field. Yes, they're quick drivers. Yes, they're quicker than most in the field as well. Yes, they've used the strategy well. But it's still not easy to consistently move your way through the field. There's only been a few retirements as well to help them. So these guys have to be applauded for starting 14th and 15th with tyre strategy mistakes in the beginning of qualifying, and they find themselves in P2 and P3. But Blizzard and the Red Bull want something to do about that. Louis then will be coming around to start his final lap in a second or two. The real battle on circuit is between both the Williams drivers and Blizzard. Further back, Midnight pretty much safe in P3 at the moment, 3 seconds behind Blizzard, 2 ahead of Yogurt, who's dropped off the pace the last couple of laps because Thomas and the Haas is now within DRS range in P7. Chapelele a long way back, 42 seconds back. He's going for the fastest lap, having just made a pit stop onto the soft tyres. Matt DeBoss started outside the top 10, might be slightly disappointed at P9, but at least he walks away with some points. Lewis as well holding on into P10. And what's happening up here? Onyx Onyx is losing positions. This is a massive battle now on the final lap as well. Thomas and Yoga exchanging positions, but look at this. Second, third and fourth, they're almost 3 wide coming down into the braking zone for turn 3, and heavy on the brakes on Paris. Can Blizzard take advantage of it? He can't. A bit of contact between them, and Onyx is watching this battle valiantly, hoping that one or both of them make a mistake to get himself back onto the podium. Will Paris give the Red Bull driver a squeeze on exit? He does a little bit now coming into turn 7 then. Second left-hander, I've got to cut away to watch Louis come around the final couple of corners. I'm not too sure what's happening with these two. I think they might have sorted themselves out, but Louis comes across the line then to win the race here. 36 laps completed. He should be able to hold on to it, and in the background we've got a Williams spinning. That's Paris spinning out of the final corner. Onyx comes across the line, but Blizzard gets P2 due to penalties. Midnight up into P3. Onyx then in 4th, and Paris has retired. He's hit the wall on the exit of the final corner. Thomas has been gifted P5, Yogurt P6, Chapalele a long way back will come across with P7. Matt Lewis and Matt FNG will all be gained an extra position as well, which means we'll just have 10 classified finishers then. And Matt, by the way, hats off, he's completed 30 laps in the medium tyres. But Louis wins the race. No dramas there coming across the line. But it all kicked off on the final lap between the Williams pair and Blizzard. And Blizzard has been gifted P2 due to penalties. Midnight has been gifted a podium spot with P3, again due to penalties. Onyx pushed down to P4. Thomas in 5th. Yogurt 6th. Chapalele in 7th. Has been dropped down to P8 by Lewis. So Chapalele had too many penalties. Matt Tibos crosses the line in 9th place. Matt FNG picks up the final point in 10th, and Paris was looking good for a podium, but whatever happened on the exit of the final corner saw him lose control, hit the pit lane wall and damage his car, retiring 100 yards away from the finishing line. But here are the top 3 then. ILRT Louis from McLaren, Blizzard in 2nd place, and then the Racing Point, believe it or not, getting back onto the podium with 3rd. So there we go, and Louis, Blizzard and Midnight all had 3 seconds worth of penalties. Onyx had 9 seconds worth of penalties, which has demoted him off the podium down into P4. Thomas then, a good drive towards the end, even with 12 seconds worth of penalties to pick up P5. Yogurt had 15 seconds worth of penalties, so I missed a lot of them then. P6 for the Mercedes driver. Rounding out the top 10 then, Lewis in 7th. Chapalele, disappointing, started on the front row, finished down in 8th. Matt Tibos, yeah, decent recovery really. Didn't see a lot of them in the race. 15 seconds worth of penalties as well. P9 and 2 points. Matt FNG then, our final classified finish, if you like, in 10th. Paris, we lost the line, pretty much on the line when he was looking good for a podium. Wommer, Bretster, LR Nick and Samster all retired at various stages. That is therefore the race and the stream coming to an end. It's now my choice, my difficult choice, to pick up my 2 Drive of the Day nominations, which will be released by One Hub Racing on the Twitter page in the next couple of days. Well, to be honest with you, 5 minutes ago it would have been both the Williams drivers, but it's quite difficult to pick Paris considering he binned it out of the final corner on the final lap. So VSR Onyx certainly will get one of my votes. I'm not too sure really who to go with for the other one really. I mean, Midnight could be a good shout, to be honest. I mean, obviously, you know, he wouldn't have been on the podium if it wasn't for Paris crashing. Obviously, you know, Blizzard and Louis were very quick in that race, as you would expect, but he started in P3 and picked up the podium position as well, so he's finished where he started, which is a good result. So I think then that my 2 Driver of the Day votes will be for VRT Midnight with P3 and VSR Onyx for P4. Onyx came from the back of the field, almost had a podium, but penalties has dropped him off it. Midnight qualified in 3rd, finished 3rd due to penalties, but all around had a strong race towards the front of the field. That's going to be my 2 Driver of the Day nominations. Not many else to choose from. Could have gone for Louis, but to be honest, I think he's had too many already. So Midnight and Onyx will be my 2 nominations. Therefore, that is the nominations, the race and the stream all coming to an end. Thank you very much for all of you tuning in at various stages, and I'll see you guys next week at 9:30 for some more red hot action here in the Prestige tier.